is J.A., Jamaica. And you'll find the nights are gay in Montego Bay. The rum drinks dangerously fruity. There are crystal waterfalls to walk up, turquoise surf to swim under. The suntan doesn't come cheaply, of course, nor the hatch rugs and conch shells at Pineapple Place. But paradise is worth paying for, and you'll get exactly what you expect. Tropical smiles, breeze-waving palm trees, and the soon-come rhythms of the Caribbean. The North Coast has a steel band or two and enough calypso to make your Arthur Murray money well spent on a honeymoon in Ocho Rios. But chances are you'll miss the real pulse of this island, the real sound. Oh, it can be heard just a few steps from Dunn's River Falls, just a 24-inch speaker away from the Jamaican Hilton. But it isn't yet a part of the modified American plan. So you'll fly home humming, "Welcome to Jamaica, where the rum come from," without having heard one skank guitar chord, not one bulldozing bass riff, not one wailing lyric of J.A.'s heartbeat. Reggae. Welcome to Jamaica, where the reggae come from.
Reggae got soul, ooh, got so much soul, ooh. Reggae got soul, got so much soul. One time I listen to the beat, move it and sing beat, yeah. Rock it with line, yeah. Moving time.
Reggae is the name of this musical style. It is uniquely Jamaican, the island's dominant popular art form. The sound is less than 10 years old, and in that time it has spread to England and Canada, creating a host of international stars, spawned a sophisticated recording industry in Kingston, influenced any number of American artists and composers, and crystallized a strong, unifying Jamaican pride.
Rock it with line, right inside. This reggae got soul, got so much soul, yeah. One time.
It sounds empty at first, basic chords, few horns, no solos. The rhythm section dominates, the guitar only strums, staccato and syncopated. The bass overpowers, hard and full. But reggae wasn't designed for musicians. It wasn't designed for tourists. In fact, it wasn't designed at all. It erupted from the rude boys and Rastas, from Pocomania and Kumina, from the steaming pressure cooker roots of the Jamaican soul. Reggae got soul, black tropical soul. The sound is simple, so simple only Jamaicans can play it. And within that pulsating, incessant rhythm is something infectious and universal. It began here 6 or 7 years ago, in the marketplace, the back alleys, the slums of Western Kingston. Kingston is not a pretty city, not a tourist city. It is big, busy, and crowded. The rat races run at 3/4 speed, though. The heat won't allow a sprint. There's a lot to buy here, more on the sidewalks than in the stores. Hundreds of handbags hung on a fence, pants lengths from the Rasta on the corner, enough fresh fruit to wipe out scurvy in our lifetime. A lot to buy here, but not much money to buy with. Unemployment is high, literacy is low. Minimum wage is 25 cents. Most prices are higher than in the States. The country's been independent since '62, and a few growing pains still show. But around the market parade of downtown Kingston, it's not the signs of poverty that command attention, not the merchandise on the streets. It is music. Music is everywhere. In front of the post office, it's a calypso band of 7 young brothers hoping for a show business break. In front of the Workers' Savings Bank, it's a blind man with a recorder hoping for a $50 bill in his cup. In front of every record shop, from every transistor radio, from truck bed sound systems, it's reggae. Reggae almost everywhere.
Rock so, you rock so. Skank so, you skank so. And don't be no dread. Come so, you come so. Oh, reggae is another bag. Get what you got your bag.
It's very difficult to be in any one spot in Kingston without hearing that sound. Any spot, including some of the worst slums in the Western Hemisphere. It's here where reggae was born. Boys play soccer on this field now. It was shantytown 10 years ago. The government bulldozed the shacks in the first step toward decent low-rent housing. The squatters just moved on. They settled here in Riverdin City or in Trenchtown or the Dungle, patched together some discarded plywood and cardboard and sheet metal and lived off a promise. They'd heard it on the radio in the country. The good life was in Kingston. Cars and maids and toothpaste. Moved to the city. And in the early 60s, thousands did.
You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want. But you must try, try and try, try and try. You'll succeed at last.
Kingston couldn't keep that radio promise, and the calypso and American R&B it played became more and more foreign. The pressure began to build, and in the swelter, in the monotony of urban slum life, music was a refuge.
Them a loot, them a shoot, them a wheel. Ashanti town. Them a loot, them a shoot, them a wheel. Ashanti town. Root by the population. Ashanti town.
All the reggae stars come from here. Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, Toots and the Maytals. They didn't sing of leaving little girls in Kingston Town. They sang of looting and shooting in Shantytown, of oppression and hatred and revolution. They sang, them belly full but we hungry. A hungry mob is an angry mob.
Them belly full but we hungry. A hungry mob is a hungry mob. A rain a fall but it dirty tough. A yacht a yoke but you'd not enough. You're gonna dance to jam music.
1, 2, 3, and.
Rex Nettleford directs the Jamaican National Dance Company and is a leading historian and social commentator. He calls the essence of reggae joyful aggression.
You know, there is a saying that when language fails, violence takes refuge in dances, stories, and songs. And this is really what has happened with the reggae. Of course, there has been a kind of violence underlying our own society here. It was the entrepot for the slave trade. It has been in many ways a cruel society, and the cruelty has been establishment cruelty. This is what the anti-colonial struggle was all about. This is what self-government means. We are yet to get that out of our system. So we understand violence. We know how to get around it. We know how to confront it.
The musicians of Shantytown confronted it with reggae. No one is quite sure where the name came from. It might be a patois abbreviation for ragamuffin. But the back-to-front rhythm, the mid-tempo drive, matched the slowed-down tropical pressures and gave a rock-firm bed for this ghetto plea. The sound was a new one. Of course, it borrowed from mento, Jamaican calypso, borrowed from the popular styles that followed mento in the 60s, ska and rock steady, and it borrowed from U.S. rock and rhythm and blues. But mostly it borrowed from the earthy, back hills heritage of these rural migrants, Rastafarian spirituals, West Indian folk, and the revivalist gospel sounds of Pocomania.
Much of the stuff that they have come up with reflect the strong revival, religious, syncretized religious elements in our own folk culture. And again, the beat, you know, we have a thing here, which you find in Pocomania and some revivalism. And that, of course, is the kind of beat that holds you in too.
Pocomania means little madness, but there's no voodoo here, no black magic, only a Jamaican version of classic revivalism. Spirited chanting, hypnotic peons, energized dancing, all culminating in possession and the speaking of tongues. Throughout the back hills of Jamaica, hundreds of Pocomania groups meet weekly in tiny wooden shacks to shout their praises to the Lord, to experience a brief euphoria that transcends the heat and squalor. And the rhythms they create are literally spellbinding. There is an African flavor to all of this, the preacher's robes, the staff or wand he carries, the animal sounds he makes. And the body rhythms, too, have a tribal flair. And the African drums and tambourines can be soul-shaking. The slave masters banned drums in Jamaica 400 years ago. They knew the power of that heartbeat sound. They feared the unifying, mesmerizing hold the drums possessed. Those who left the hills and came to Kingston, those with a Poco upbringing, brought the rhythms along with them. Toots Hibbert was one. Still lives in Western Kingston, even though he and his group, the Maytels, are Jamaican favorites. They're unknown elsewhere, though. They've refused to compromise their basic root sound. Their stage presence is unpolished. But Toots has turned out hit after reggae hit, many with a strong Pocomania message, all with the strong Pocomania beat that's become the backbone of reggae. Toots is perhaps Jamaica's most prolific composer. He is also illiterate.
I'm talking that soon you will find out the man I'm supposed to be.
I am on Toots and the Maytels now. They give me the kind of thing back to really the roots. They are far better than they think they are. They are fantastic. And if anyone talks about roots, they really are coming directly from there. Happily, they have not allowed themselves to remain there, and so they aren't rotting.
Rex Nettleford is choreographing an entire program to the music of the Maytels and finds striking dance potential in reggae.
I'm particularly interested in this, as I said, contained anger, how it comes out. Despair, underlying hope, or hope emerging from despair. How do you do this? How do you express this in movement? It offers all sorts of possibilities.
There are many ways to dance to reggae. In any roadside rum bar, the jukebox blares the sound and the locals step easy with a bottle of Red Stripe in each hand. It's too hot to dance fast, and the reggae pace is just right. These are the rude boys, the Rudies, ghetto kids who embrace reggae as their own. In many ways it is. Their lifestyle, their struggle is at the core of the music. They are the boys of Shantytown hit hardest by the pressure. No money, no jobs, dim future. Music is one way out, but the chances are slight. Some become chemists, dealers of ganja, 10 cents a spliff, 20 cents a stick, $20 a pound. In time, the rude boy says, me buy myself a Honda 50, ride into the country and pick me own herb. In time. Till then, rude boys have a wail, 'cause them out of jail.
I know rude boys are go real. Cause them out of jail.
Mostly, they just walk the streets of Western Kingston trying to stay out of trouble, or trying to get into it, fantasizing about rude boys who made it like Jimmy Cliff.
Oppressors are trying to keep me down, trying to drive me underground.
You'll find them in the Spanish Town Yard at night, an outdoor disco where giant speakers pound bass till 4. They strut in alone or with a friend, never a girl, and spend the night with reggae and red stripe.
Now take the bounce and stick with us and make no fuss. If you got a grouse and that's on the house, you can't be no mouse. What up, dude?
The backyard DJ adds his own special flavor. He turns down the vocal track and dubs his own patois rhyme schemes.
One more down the scene. You know you got to be king. I know you right the way coming, but she says, some kind of room, kind of big
Even the favorite Rudy game, dominoes, has its own inherent violence, its own inherent rhythm that seems just as much a part of reggae. The wandering, frustrated Rudy does have a place to turn, however, to a bizarre, earthy religious sect, also a vital element in the Kingston slums and reggae music, a sect called Rastafari. This is the purest reggae sound, the spirituals of a Rastafarian groundation. It's a free-flowing, unstructured service in devotion to Jah, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Lion of Judah, Prince Rastafari, also known as Haile Selassie.
Selassie is our leader. We can rally around his throne.
The Rastafarians believe that Selassie is God. He is the fulfillment of Marcus Garvey's 40-year-old prophecy, an African emperor who will bring his wandering tribes back home to Ethiopia. The Rastas reject the political system, the social structure, the materialism of Western culture. Babylon, they call it. They let their hair grow in long plaited locks, pound out their chants of repatriation on the funda and repeater drums, and smoke about a pound of ganja a week. Through the thick haze of nature's mellow herb comes the Rasta predictions of the apocalypse. Not violent revolution, though. The first commandment is peace and love, but a mystical upheaval that will send them home. Eye and eye, they say, Selassie and themselves. I and I sing praise to Rastafari, and drums sing back praise to I. The Rastas were scorned at first or laughed at. They are now tolerated, even respected for their biblical dedication, even admired for their simple, honest lives. But despite peace and love, despite their condemnation of violence, there is a strong, wailing protest to their songs, a plea for freedom, a demand for social justice. And this religious sect has given reggae perhaps its most important ingredient, a conscience.
Hear the words of the Rastaman say. Do you remember the days of slavery?
Do you remember the days of slavery? Get up, stand up for your right.
Going back to Africa, 'cause I'm black. Going back to Africa,
Many reggae stars are Rastafarians, Big Youth, Burning Spear, and the best-known Bob Marley. Marley wrote I Shot the Sheriff. Eric Clapton made it a U.S. hit without much of the original reggae feel, but it wasn't even one of Marley's best. He's been called the finest street poet since Dylan, if you can understand the Jamaican labyrinth.
No woman not cry. No woman not cry. Cold ground was my bed last night. And rock was my pillow too. Not one of my seeds shall sit in the sidewalk and beg your bread. Children, get your culture. And don't stay there and just 'cause I remember when we used to sit in a government yard in Trenchtown, observing the hypocrites.
His words and phrases come from the exciting, lyrical, illiterate poetry of Jamaican speech.
That excitement in speech raises the level of language at street level, raises it to almost to poetry. In Jamaica, that's the case today. You hear people talking all the time. It's this strange combination of biblical and radio influences and so on and so forth. And you push it all together and give it the excitement that the time demands. And poetry comes out because it hasn't been formalized and it hasn't been deadened by literacy.
Perry Hensel is a Jamaican filmmaker who directed The Harder They Come, the island's first homemade feature. The film has become an underground classic in the U.S. and introduced reggae full force.
And then the harder they come, the harder they fall. You wanna know.
I think a whole series of coincidences made Jamaica a place in which the black tropical spirit, what it had to say, which is essentially the spirit, I believe, of relaxation, found expression in music. It had the means and so on. And that, again, is universal. The spirit of relaxation is universal. But in Jamaica, it's a good place for expressing that because Jamaica is very relaxed place. Where it gets its power is that in a place where the pressures are on to lessen relaxation, to make people work harder and have more, in other words, to pull them into the consumer society. The Jamaican music is saying, hey, wait a minute. Maybe you don't understand what we're really saying. Maybe you don't understand that we really don't need that. If you listen to reggae over and over and over again, it's saying, just let us be free, just leave us alone, we're cool, we're easy, leave us alone, we're happy. Huh? Don't draw us deeper and deeper into Babylon.
Even deep in Babylon, though, reggae has been accepted, embraced. At classic Kingston discos like the Epiphany, Marley mixes easily with Barry White and Monty Rock.
The middle-class Jamaican comes out of the plantation system. He's the descendant of a slave. There are ancestral sensibilities which are there, which respond to things like this.
It is the art form in Jamaica that touches most of our people. And it spreads throughout the entire island. It knows no class barriers at all.
Even the government has adopted reggae. Hugh Nash directs the National Festival Committee, which has an extensive popular music program, including an annual reggae song contest.
I think our concern at this point is just to make sure that the creative end of this reggae movement get reasonable returns for their effort. I believe it's a problem throughout the world that the financiers in the business, the producers, the manufacturers are the ones who get the bulk of the returns. Our concern in the Jamaica Festival Commission and on behalf of the government of Jamaica is to ensure that a larger slice of the cake go to the creative people in the business.
The Rasta would say, I and I make the music, Babylon make the money. While the commercial record industry has flourished with reggae's success, there are now hundreds of record shops, 8 pressing plants, 11 recording studios, at least 75 independent producers on the island. They turn out an average of 30 new releases a week, with the highest percentage per capita in the world. Jamaica may also have the highest percentage per capita of raw performing talent.
I've traveled throughout all the West Indian countries, all the islands of my band, and you find that wherever you play, there's a little bit of, inhibited. People are a little inhibited to come on stage or stand up before a microphone. In Jamaica, it's the opposite. You find that you do a show at a theater, a big professional show, and you mention to someone, would you like to sing a part? And 10 guys jump on stage and dancing and singing regardless of what's happening. No fear of, shy or anything. They're coming from nowhere.
Byron Lee runs Dynamic Sound, the largest, most complete studio in Jamaica. Already the Rolling Stones, Eric Clapton, Elton John, Paul Simon, and others have recorded there.
The heat, the slow movements here, where everybody's just relaxed. No worry, no telephones ringing, no fans clamoring at the doors. These guys came and loved it, man. They spent hours in here.
They not only love the studio, many love the sound, and a great number of U.S. hits like Oobla Dee, Oobla Da, Mother and Child Reunion, and I Can See Clearly Now have been reggae influenced. But very few pure Jamaican tunes have made it. In England, reggae has hit the charts on a regular basis for several years now. It does well in Canada and throughout Africa. But in the States, only Bob Marley seems to have made even a small dent.
The producers in the States don't know the sound too well. They have to come here and get it to take back. They cannot relate to the sound. It's like everything against what normally used to be in the industry. First of all, our bass needles, we are pushing the bass 80%, 90%. Over there, the guys are saying, crazy, you're peaking. We are pushing all the rhythm to nearly 80% of maximum, leaving just that little space for top end, where in the States is the opposite. They have all that bright strings, horns, top end, back voices, everything, synthesizers, and leaving a little rhythm. But whether it breaks or not internationally, reggae is a way of life in Jamaica.
The man who made the gun was crazy. I also think his mind was lazy. He could not write a song like me. Dirty glass paper to be free.
Whether it breaks or not internationally, reggae is a way of life in Jamaica. The roots grow deep in the rich tropical earth. And like the Rastas say, only when roots strong, fruit sweet. Reggae is roots, dread roots.
What I sing, you cannot always gun them down.